Go.
Live from beautiful Baja Tustin, Professor Mark McNeil from Irvine Valley College, teaching us today about economics.
Well, thank you, Frederick. Today we're talking about an industry that is a price searcher, where the industry competes and later becomes a cartel. So if there are a bunch of firms in an industry, the supply curve is the sum of the marginal cost curve. So let's say that's industry supply. This is industry demand. And the quantity that will be produced in this industry is where supply and demand meet. That will be this quantity when they compete with each other. And this will be the price when they compete with each other. But, put the phone down, please. And if they do that, then this will be producer surplus, this is opportunity cost, and this is consumer surplus. Very nice, very nice. Once again, put it away. Stop, you're provoking me. Now, so let's say that somebody goes and takes this course and puts their phone down and actually listens. Then they come back and they come to this one of these producers and they say, "I got a great idea. Let's make a fortune." What's that idea, sonny boy? And they say, "Let's form a cartel." A cartel is one type of collusion. Price leadership is the least formal type. It's unspoken. It's sub rosa. There are no tape recordings, messages, anything. One firm becomes the price leader and others just follow their behavior. Another form is gentlemen's agreements, where these are sort of semi-formal agreements where people just talk and agree to share a market somehow and act like a monopoly even though they're not. And then there's a cartel, which is a formal written agreement between firms. An example of a cartel is OPEC. So they go and they say, "There's tons of money to be made here. I'll show you the plan. Here's the plan. This is our demand, and since it's industry demand, it is quite inelastic, especially for oil." Now, if we were to stop competing with each other and act like one firm, then this would be our marginal revenue curve, twice the slope of the demand curve. And if this is our supply, I'll try and do this the same as the other one there. So let's say this is the supply, which is the sum of the marginal cost curves. Look what we could do if we were just able to decrease the quantity from this Q1 to this quantity, which is Q sub M, because cartels attempt to form a monopoly situation. So if they were able to cut the price back from Q1 to Q sub M, look what price they could charge. We still haven't hit it yet, have we? There it is. Look at that. They could charge this price. And P sub M for monopoly, Q sub M for monopoly, and their total revenue would be this amount. This would still be the opportunity cost of producing, but look at all this producer surplus. And see this little bit of consumer surplus. Is this real money to be made? And the answer is absolutely, staggering amounts. So they all agree, okay, we'll cut back. Firm 1, we'll cut back 20%, you'll cut back 30%, you'll put that, excuse me, no! Ha! Look, the bane of my existence. Ha! Excuse me. Now, where was I? Cartels, that's it. So, lots of money to be made, they all agree. They all cut back, think, and at this quantity, that's the price they can charge. But cartels don't work historically. There have been many, many cartels through the ages. The tin cartel, the copper cartel, the banana cartel, the nickel cartel, coffee, did I say coffee? Lots and lots of different cartels, and they're all attracted by this fortune to be made. But what happens? Why don't they work? The only cartel you've ever heard of, really, is
The drug.
well, the Colombian cartels, but they don't cooperate with each other. I don't understand the context in which they're a cartel. So we'll stick to OPEC if you don't mind. Oh, incidentally, what is this little nosy area here? What is this? That looks like dead weight loss to me with that cartel or monopoly arrangement. Okay, but the problem is every firm has an incentive to cheat. In OPEC, do they need the money? Yeah. If somebody comes to this firm and says, I'll tell you what, I'll buy all the oil you're currently selling at this price, this high price, but then I'll buy some extra amount at a lower price. Do these firms all have an incentive to sell out the back door? And the answer is yes. And do they? Yes, they do. And so, as more and more people cheat, the ones who don't cheat are the suckers. And eventually, it becomes very difficult for them to not cheat. So as the quantity increases and increases, the maximum price they can get for it in this market, it gets lower and lower, until, with cheating, they're back to the old competitive level again. So, in OPEC, we've seen this repeatedly, where the amount of oil that's being shipped is different from what's announced that they're shipping. And years ago, the king of Saudi Arabia, the price had gone down to some level like this, and the king of Saudi Arabia announced to the world, what will be permitted to others shall not be denied the Saudis. Apparently kings talk this way. And what that meant was that if others can cheat and produce more than their quota, the Saudis could too. And what they did was they opened the spigots and they increased their production of oil enormously and drove the price way, way down. And everybody was losing money. It was a great catastrophe. And they had an emergency meeting, and somehow that caused people to once again agree to stay closer to these quota targets. So OPEC is the odd cartel in that it appears that the Saudis have been the enforcer with enough market power to force cooperation in that. But anyway, that's a price searcher industry. This is industry now, with competition. And what happens if they get together and form a cartel? Seacrest down.